wanted man's prayer. Lord, I know you've heard from better men than me, men with clean hands and clear consciences and free. But I'm kneeling in the gravel of a truck stop parking lot, with everything I've broken and the little that I've got. I've been wanted by the law and wanted by my past. Never thought a prayer from me would make it past the glass. The sky between me and heaven seems too thick to climb, but they say the cross was built for man, exactly like my kind. I don't know the fancy words the church folks say. I'm just talking to you raw, Lord. This is all I've got today. This is a wanted man's prayer, from a man who's running scared, ran out of roads and ran out of fight. Lord, if you're listening tonight, this is a wanted man's prayer. I'm not asking to be more than I am, just asking you to take me as I stand, with nothing left to offer but my honest heart. Lord, hear a wanted man's prayer. I've lied to people who trusted me with truth, done damage in my manhood I can't undo from youth, left wreckage in my rear view, ghosts in every state. Lord, I don't know if your mercy's got a cutoff date, but I've seen men walk out of fire still alive, seen women raise up families on nothing and survive, seen grace work in the gutter, seen faith rise from the grave. And I'm standing here believing that I still can be saved. Maybe this ain't nothing but a desperate man's game. Maybe you've been waiting on me to say your name. Maybe this right here is where the story turns, where the smoke clears and the light finally returns. So I'm laying down the weight I've been carrying too long, the guilt, the grief, the running and the wrong. I don't need religion, I just need a father's hand and the strength to take the next step as a better man. This is a wanted man's prayer, from a man who's running scared, who ran out of roads and ran out of fight. Lord, if you're listening tonight, this is a wanted man's prayer. I'm not asking to be more than I am, just asking you to take me as I stand. This is a wanted man's prayer, still breathing, still here, still reaching for you. A wanted man's prayer, Lord, hear me.
Sometimes he shows up when I least expect him to. The man I used to be, standing in the doorway coming through. The one with all the anger and the reckless and the wild. The one who left a trail of damage long as a country mile. I see him in the mirror on the mornings that are hard, when everything feels heavy and the distance feels too far. He smiles like he knows something, like he's waiting for a fall, like he thinks I'm one bad moment from becoming him again, that's all. But I know something now that I didn't know back then, that a man ain't just his history, and grace begins again. Ghost of the man I was, I see you standing there, but you don't live here anymore. You don't own this chair. Ghost of the man I was, you cost me more than I can say, but you don't get to haunt my future just because you own my yesterday. I've been made new, that's the truth of what I found. Ghost of the man I was, you don't get to stick around. The ghost knows all my weakness, knows every door I've opened wrong, knows the voice of every temptation, knows every siren song. He uses my own memories as weapons against me now, but memories don't determine who I am, they just show how. I've seen men live their whole lives as the ghost of who they were, never stepping into who they're becoming, never turning to the shore. Foundation of a God who says the past is covered and it's done. You are not defined by what you've done, you are defined as son. I forgive the man I was for all the damage that he made. I forgive him for the nights and for the choices and the trade. He was doing what he knew with what he had at the time, and the God who covered him is the same God who covered mine. There's a new man in this body now, with different motivations, different morning prayers and different daily calibrations. Still rough, still real, still got the scars to prove the story, but living in the present, walking in a different glory. When the ghost shows up, I'll tell him what I know today. You're part of me, but you're not most of me. You don't get to stay. I've got a future full of things you never let me see, and I'm going there with God, and you ain't coming with me.
ghost of the man I was. That ain't me.
I've written love songs to women I didn't deserve. I've written drinking songs to bottles that hit every nerve. I've written sad songs for the mornings after everything went wrong. But I ain't never written, God, a proper thank you song. So here it is, rough and unfinished, just like me, sung from the front porch of a life you helped me see. Not a cathedral anthem, not a Sunday kind of hymn, just a working man's love song to the grace of Him. How do you thank somebody for the thing they've always been, for the mercy that was waiting long before you let it in? Sinner's Serenade, the only song I know, written in the key of everything I owe, sung from the bottom of a gratitude too deep for proper words. Sinner's Serenade, let it be heard by every outlaw who don't think they qualify for grace, every broken person who don't think they have a place at the table of a God who set a seat out just for you. This is a sinner's serenade, and it's long overdue. I've said thank you to a sunrise and a sunset and a storm, to the coffee in the morning and the fire keeping warm. But the deepest thank you of my life has to be this one right here, to the God who stuck around me through the fire and the fear. Not because I earned it, not because I deserve the grace, not because I showed up to the right church or the right place, just because He's that way, faithful, patient, always there. And I've spent too long not telling Him I know it and I care.
This ain't fancy, this ain't polished, this ain't dressed up to impress. This is just a sinner standing at the door of thankfulness, opening it wide and letting all the gratitude come through, for the second and the third and the 50th chance you knew. I'll sing this in the early morning on the way to work. I'll sing this in the quiet when the sadness tries to lurk. I'll sing this to my children so they know where Daddy stood at the intersection of unworthy and the perfectly understood. And when the final chorus comes and it's my time to go, I'll still be singing, still be grateful, still be letting it show that the greatest thing that ever happened in this life to me was the God of second chances who refused to let me be. Sinner's serenade, still singing, still grateful. Sinner's serenade, he deserves so much better, but he takes what I bring. Sinner's serenade. Sinner's serenade.
Lay me down when I go in the Georgia red clay, not in a cemetery with the proper bouquet. Bury me under the pines where I used to think and pray, on that ridge above the holler where I finally found my way. Don't put a suit on me, don't put me in a tie. I lived in boots and blue jeans, and I wanna say goodbye the same way that I showed up every day of my life, honest and imperfect and still learning from the fight. And tell them when they gather, tell them what I found, that the God of the outlaws is the realest thing around. This is a rebel's requiem, this is an outlaw's amen, from a man who lived hard but found grace in the end. This is a rebel's requiem, not a tragedy, the story of a sinner who was finally set free. Sing it like you mean it, sing it like the truth, the rebel's requiem for the outlaws and the proof that God ain't done with anyone till he says that he is through. I want somebody to get up and testify, tell the whole congregation what it means to live a life. Tell them I was rough around every edge I had, tell them I made something good from some of the worst starts of bad. Tell them I love my children and I tried to get it right.
tell them there were mornings after very long and dark nights where God met me in the kitchen, and he sat with me a while, and he said, "I've got you, son, every single mile." There's a kind of home going that don't look like a loss. It looks like a man coming back to his father from a long road. That's the one I'm hoping for when my time comes to cross. Not perfection, just forgiveness and the laying down of the load. So play something with a fiddle, play something with some soul, play something that has grit in it, let it fill the room whole. Let the roughnecks and the rednecks and the outlaws feel it deep. This ain't the end of the story, this is just a different sleep. And tell the ones I'm leaving, keep fighting, don't give up. The road gets lighter eventually, keep filling up the cup of faith and work and honesty, and showing up each day. That's the hope of what I learned along the way. A rebel's requiem, still believing. A rebel's requiem, still receiving grace till the end. Grace all the way home. Grace till the end.
My name and my weaknesses by heart, knows exactly when to show up, knows exactly where to start, knows the time of night that gets me, knows the kind of woman too, knows the kind of music and the bottle that'll do. He's been studying me for decades like a fighter studying film, knows my tales, knows my pressure points, knows how to overwhelm. He shows up at my strongest, looking like my oldest friend, whispering about the doors I used to open way back then. But there's something he forgot in all his years of studying me. The God who made me is stronger than my full history. The devil knows my name, but God knows it better. The devil's read the file, but God wrote every letter. The devil knows my past, but God holds my future. The devil brings the wound, but God is the suture. He tries to use my history to keep me from my calling, but every time he gets me down, God's there when I'm falling. The devil knows my name, but he don't have the final say. I've lost rounds to the enemy, I won't lie about that. He's knocked me down on Tuesday and I didn't come right back. But I've never stayed down permanent, and I don't plan to start. There's something in me won't give up the God inside my heart. The enemy is real, I'm not pretending that he years of living, I've got evidence of its saint. But the God I serve is greater, and the proof is where I stand. Scarred and standing, that's the evidence of his hand. I bind every chain around my future in your name. I lose every lie he's told me about the man that I became. I'm not what the devil says I am, I'm what you say instead. I'm alive, I'm redeemed, I'm forgiven, and I'm fed. There's a battle going on in every household every night, between the things that drag us down and the things that make us right. And the only weapon that has ever worked for me is the name above every name, that sets the captive free. So enemy, you can keep on coming, I'll just keep on standing. I know your game and I know your plan, and I know you're landing. I know a God who won the war before you knew to fight. So do your worst, because we've already won this night. The devil knows my name, but God knows it better. The devil knows my name, God wrote every letter of my name, every chapter of my story. The devil knows my name, but God gets the glory. Lord, I ain't educated in the ways of political speech. I don't know all the answers, and they're mostly out of reach of a man like me who works his hands and pays his taxes straight, and tries to love his neighbor even when it ain't too great. Between the neighbors lately, Lord, I'll be honest, the division in this country's past what I can bear to watch without some prayer. So here's mine, plain and real, the redneck's prayer for America. This is how I feel. I come to you the way I come to everything I don't understand, uncertain and imperfect, with both boots on the land. He made and called me to tend as best I know. Lord, have mercy on America today. Lord, have mercy, we've been losing our way. Bring us back to what was true before we got smart. The redneck's prayer for America, straight from the heart. Lord, the veterans are suffering and nobody seems to care enough to fix the system. Lord, somebody needs to bear the weight of that accounting. We sent them in our name and left them in the waiting room. Lord, that's a shame. The children are afraid at school. Lord, that ain't right. Nobody should send their kid to school and lose the fight of keeping them safe. Lord, forgive us for the mess. The redneck's prayer for America, I confess. I don't pray this as a perfect man, a perfect citizen. I pray it as a broken
possibility of this place if we return to loving God and neighbor. Lord, help us learn before the lesson comes the hard way, that it always does. When a nation turns from truth, Lord, hear, because this prayer is from the ones who love it and who know the redneck's prayer for America. Let it go up past the fireworks and the partisan debate, the redneck's prayer for America, before it's too late. Lord, have mercy on America, plain and simple, from a redneck on his knees. That's all I've got.
The fireworks painting the sky in red and white and blue, and somewhere in the middle of that light I thought of you. The cross was on the hillside of the churchyard down the road, and the fireworks illuminated it like something God had shown me personally. A moment in the spectacle of the night, where the celebration of the nation met the sacred light of the oldest story of the freedom that was won. July cross, what the Father did for the Son. I stood in the yard with my family all around. For a moment everything else went to the ground. Of silence in the noise, I felt it clear. July cross, God was right here. July cross in the fireworks sky. July cross, how both freedoms tied. The blood that bought the nation and the blood that bought the soul. July cross, making broken America whole. This country and the kingdom are not the same estate, but they rhyme in certain places. How the great sacrifice of one man changes everything for all. How the freedom that it purchases outlasts the fall of every empire that comes after it and goes. The cross outlasts the Constitution, everyone knows. The kingdom is a final government when time is done. July cross, Father, Son, and Holy One. I don't need America to be the kingdom of God, but I need America to acknowledge the right of discipline that comes from turning from what's true. July cross, Lord, we need you. In the middle of the firework and the partisan divide, in the middle of the crisis and the national pride, in the middle of the beautiful and broken that we are. July cross, near and far. July cross, fireworks fading, cross still standing. Oh, the freedom's real. July cross, July cross. You seen the bumper sticker on the back of the truck? Freedom ain't free, yeah I know, but we stuck that on a sticker, and we drive past the consequence of what it actually means, and we don't make a dent in the comfortable distance between the slogan and the grave of the 19-year-old buried to keep us free and brave, and comfortable enough to slap a sticker on the back. Freedom ain't free, take that past the rack. And while we're speaking truth about the cost of things we keep, grace ain't cheap either, let me say it while I'm deep into the honesty. The cross was not a symbol first, it was an execution, and it satisfied the worst. Freedom ain't free, grace ain't cheap. Both of them cost something you can't keep without acknowledging the price that someone paid. Freedom ain't free, freedom ain't free, grace ain't cheap. The trade was blood for liberty in both the cases known. The soldiers and the saviors, seeds of freedom sown. The soldier signed the paper knowing he might pay everything he had on some forgotten day in some forgotten country for the folks back home who'd never know his name but wouldn't be alone in their freedom. That's the sacrifice of grace, a man who gives his everything so someone else has space to live. Sound familiar? It should ring the bell. Freedom ain't free, grace ain't cheap. Truth to tell, I'm not equating the cross to the battlefield. Both are sacred, both required a real giving up of everything, the soldier and the son. Both said, not my will, but thine be done. In their different languages, in their different fights for the same fundamental human right to live without the tyranny of death and sin. Freedom ain't free, grace ain't cheap. Let that sink in. Freedom ain't free, grace ain't cheap. Somebody always pays. Make sure you remember who. She hung the flag on the porch every 4th of July morning before the coffee was done, without any warning to the neighbors that it was coming. It just appeared like clockwork every summer that I ever feared. I'd miss by being somewhere else, running from the hometown version of who I tried to become. She put the flag up and she bowed her head and prayed. Mama made me patriotic. That was how she laid. The foundation, not the blind kind, but the eyes wide open. Kind of love your country and your God, both broken and beautiful and worth the daily choosing again. Mama made me patriotic on a July porch, with a flag she hung herself and a faith she torched the darkness with. She taught me both were gifts. Mama made me patriotic, that's what lifts me to my feet. When the anthem starts to play, Mama made me patriotic every 4th of July day. She made the potato salad and the deviled eggs. By noon the whole street knew, because she laid the kegs of sweet tea out on the lawn for whoever came. Small town July 4th was always the same. Beautiful and simple in the way that things that last always are. She tied my faith and love into the mast of the flag on the porch and said both things are true. Mama made me patriotic, and she loved God too. She never said the country was without its sin. She taught me you can love what's broken from within and fight to make it better. That's the faithful kind, a patriot, not the one who's willfully blind to what needs healing, but who shows up anyway to do the work of making something better than today. She's been gone 8 years, and the flag is on my porch. Mama made me patriotic, I carry her torch. Mama made me patriotic, flag on the porch every July. Both things are true, God and country, both worth loving. They say one nation under God, but the God they mean has been adjusted for the comfort of the American dream. A God who blesses everything we want to do, a God who looks like us and sees the world we view as right, a God that fits inside our politics clean, without the challenge and the weight of what he's seen. Done in his name across 250 years. One nation under conviction, Lord, hear our tears. Conviction isn't punishment, it's the loving hand of a God who sees the gap between the promise and the land. We're actually living in the mercy and the call. One nation under conviction, God see us all. One nation under conviction on the 4th of July. One nation under conviction, Lord, we're asking asking why. We built what we built and left who we left outside. One nation under conviction, nowhere left to hide. From the reckoning of the God we put on all our money. One nation under conviction, and that ain't funny. The church in America has got some accounting to do before the nation does. Clean the inside first. It's true that the house of God should not look like the divided street of a nation that can't figure out how to meet in the middle for the sake of someone other than themselves. We took the love thy neighbor and we put it on the shelf next to the uncomfortable parts we don't like to preach. One nation under conviction, within reach. Lord, I love this country, the way you love the broken, the way you call them back with every word you've spoken through the prophets and the poets and the outlaw with a song. I love this country enough to say when something's wrong, and enough to say there's mercy for the worst of what we've been. One nation under conviction. Lord, come in. Forgive us where we failed, the poor and the oppressed. One nation under conviction. Do the rest. One nation under conviction, not condemnation. Conviction leads to change. Lord, hear this prayer. The fireworks went off while we buried Tommy Ray in the county cemetery on a July day. The timing wasn't intentional, just how it fell, that the nation was celebrating while we went through hell of burying a 23-year-old who didn't make it back from a desert that the country's mostly lost the track. While we sent him, nobody could say fireworks and funerals one July day. The crowd across the lake was cheering at the light while we were folding flags in the fading summer night over a box that held a boy we couldn't get back. Fireworks and funerals, same sky, same black. Fireworks and funerals, that's America. Celebration and the grief are living parallel on every 4th of July in every town. Fireworks and funerals, Lord, don't let us drown in either one alone. Hold us in the boat His mama said, don't be sad. Tommy died free, died believing in the thing he was sent there to be, a guardian of the freedom that his grandfather served, and his grandfather before, the unbroken nerve of a family that sends its sons and praise them home. And sometimes God says, bring them to my throne instead of to the driveway. Lord, how do you grieve? Fireworks and funerals and still believe. I believe because of Tommy, not in spite of him, because a man who dies for something else is him. Of freedom, that's the echo of a different sacrifice that happened on a hill at a much higher price. For all of us, the soldier and the sinner both, the cross and the uniform share the same oath of giving everything for what you can't yet see. Fireworks and funerals. Tommy died free. Fireworks and funerals. Same sky, same July, same sky. Tommy Ray, God received him. They wrote a declaration of their independence then. I'm writing one of mine, a different kind of pen, to a different kind of authority than any king of earth. The declaration of my total and my absolute worth. There's nothing without God. The outlaw's paradox is freedom through surrender. That's what the kingdom unlocks. The more I lay it down, the more I'm actually free. The outlaw's declaration written inside of me. Jefferson wrote about the rights that no king can remove. I write about the rights I gave back to the one who proved his love at Calvary. A different kind of claim, the outlaw's declaration written in his name. I hold these truths to be self-evident and plain, that I was created by a God who knows my name, that I was endowed by my Creator with the right to surrender everything back to Him tonight. Life, liberty, the pursuit, I lay them all before the throne and say, Lord, do with these what they were for. The outlaw's declaration, signed in the red. The outlaw's declaration, living not the dead. 250 years ago they pledged their lives, their fortunes and their sacred honor. Here it revives. Something in me when I read those final lines Men who put their necks out on the firing lines of treason against the crown. And that's what they chose. I pledge my life and honor now to the one who knows better than any king or Congress or any court. The Outlaw's Declaration, that's the final report. Some folks say keep your religion out of everything public. I say keep the truth alive, because the truth is not a gimmick. It's the load-bearing wall of everything we are. Take the foundation out and we don't get very far before the whole construction of a civil life collapses into every dark and broken history that passes as a warning to the nation. Read the signs around you, the Outlaw's Declaration. God's truth will astound you, the Outlaw's Declaration. Not of independence, but of total dependence on the only king worth serving.
I was a prisoner in every sense of the word, prisoner of my choices and a prisoner of the herd. Voices in my head that said you'll never change, red, white, and redeemed seemed impossibly strange. For a man like me, with my particular record, my rap sheet and my history, every corridor of my past was dark and every door was shut, red, white, and redeemed until that gut punch moment in October when I hit the wall and heard something I couldn't have before the fall that said, I've been waiting for you to stop running, red, white, and redeemed. The grace was coming. Red, white, and redeemed, that's who I am. Red of the blood that covered every scam. I ran on everyone, including my own soul. White of the mercy that made the broken whole. Blue of the morning when I woke up new. Red, white, and redeemed, that's the red, white, and blue. I celebrate on the 4th of July. Red, white, and redeemed, that's my battle cry. Free in this country and free in the Lord, two kinds of freedom swinging the same sword against the darkness that would take them both away. Free men sleep different on the 4th of July day. When you know the cost of what you're celebrating, right? The blood of the soldier and the blood of Calvary's night both purchased something that could not be bought with gold. Red, white, and redeemed, that's the story told. For every man who served this country in the sand, and every soul who knelt and finally took the hand of grace, you're both familiar with the price of free. Red, white, and redeemed, that's the country and the creed of heaven meeting earth on a July afternoon, when the fireworks light up and the stars come through the moon, and you stand in the yard knowing who you are. Red, white, and redeemed, near and far. Red, red, white, and redeemed, that's who I am now. Free in the nation, free in the nation, free in the Lord, free in the Lord. Both of them. Yeah. 250 years old, and we still don't know what we're building or which way we need to go. America needs Jesus. Not a slogan, not a bumper sticker. America needs Jesus, the real one, not the ticker. Take parade religion or the Sunday morning show. America needs Jesus. Here's what I know. Yeah. We put God on our money, but we took him from the school. We put him in the place, but then we changed every rule. Had his book established for the order of life, and then we wonder why the country's full of strife. We trade the ancient boundaries for the trending and the new. Call it progress, call it freedom, call it overdue. But progress without wisdom is a car without the brake. America needs Jesus, that's not hate. America needs Jesus, not the political kind. America needs Jesus in the heart and the mind, not the one they put on billboards for the vote and the win. America needs Jesus, the one who died for sin. America needs Jesus on the 4th of July, when the fireworks go up, Lord, hear our cry. We built this on the Bible and we're letting it decay. America needs Jesus, starting today. 22 veterans a day are taking their lives, while the Senate argues and the nation divides over everything except the crisis in the street. America needs Jesus, not a talking head tweet. The opioids killing one community whole, while the pharmaceutical executives play golf at the resort. They ball with the settlement from the court. America needs Jesus, that's the final report. I'm not talking about the Jesus of the empire, who blessed the conquest and the manifested desire for land and gold. I'm talking about the radical, the one who touched the leper in the sabbatical rest period. Who said the last shall be first? Who said blessed are the ones who hunger and the ones who thirst for righteousness? That Jesus is the one we need. America needs Jesus. Plant that seed.
America needs Jesus,
not a religion, the real one.
starting today.